She has one eye open. She has been awake for 3 hours, and she is burning through the last reserve she has. Her name is Cleo. She weighs 11 grams, less than 2 pennies stacked together, and right now, at 2:47 in the morning, she is clinging to a twig in the back corner of your yard while the temperature drops below 18 degrees and keeps going. You are asleep. Your neighbors are asleep. The street is quiet, Cleo's not, and she is not alone. Between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., in that dead zone of night when even the owls go quiet, your yard transforms into something most people will go their entire lives without witnessing. A cardinal in your holly bush is running metabolic calculations that will determine whether he sees morning. A chickadee in the oak has slowed her heart to a near stop. 800 feet above your roofline, a warbler is reading a magnetic map you cannot see. And 2 houses down, under the streetlight, a robin is singing a song that should not start for another 2.5 hours. And it is costing her everything. What happens in your yard between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. is one of the least observed windows in the natural world. Tonight it's happening again. Most people assume the night goes quiet after midnight, that the world settles, breathes out, and waits for morning. It doesn't. Between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., the temperature in your yard is still falling. It will not bottom out until just before dawn, which means the coldest moment of any winter night arrives precisely when every small creature in it has already been burning reserves for 6, 7, 8 hours straight. There is no rest in that math. There is only the question of how much is left. Tonight, 5 of them are out there. Cleo in the back corner near the fence, 11 grams, one eye open. Red, tucked into the holly bush by the gate, his red so dark in this light he could be a coal. The chickadee, no name, because what she is doing barely qualifies as being alive. 800 feet above the roofline, Wendell, mid-crossing, committed to a journey he cannot stop. Ezra, motionless on the driveway branch, patient in the way that only hunters can be. And Vera, under the streetlight. Singing, we'll get to Vera. Cleo is not asleep. She looks it, maybe. Feathers fluffed against the cold, body still, beak tucked, but one eye is open. It has been open for hours. And the half of her brain behind that eye is fully awake, scanning branches she can barely see, running threat assessments in the dark, while the other half of her brain rests. Researchers at the Max Planck Institute call it unihemispheric slow-wave sleep. One hemisphere down, one hemisphere on guard. She switches sides roughly every 20 minutes. It is not rest the way you rest. It is the closest thing to rest that survival allows. Here is what the other side of the equation looks like. 11 grams, 18 degrees, 6 hours without food. At that weight, in that cold, Cleo carries maybe 12 hours of fat reserves on a good night. She is already 6 hours in. Every minute she sits on that twig, she is spending something she cannot earn back until morning. If the temperature drops further, she burns faster. If something startles her into flight, she burns faster. If the math goes wrong, she doesn't make it. One brown eye, scanning. In the oak tree, third cavity from the bottom, there is a chickadee. She has no name here. What she is doing doesn't leave much room for one. Her normal body temperature is around 107 degrees. Right now, it is 22 degrees lower than that. Her heart, which beats 500 times a minute during the day, has dropped to under 200. Her breathing has slowed to almost nothing. If you opened that cavity and held a light to her, you might not be sure. This is not sleep. Scientists call it regulated hypothermia, a controlled metabolic shutdown, calibrated to the millimeter between conservation and death. Without it, a bird her size could not carry enough fat to survive a northern winter night. The energy required would exceed everything she is physically able to store. But here is what makes it stranger. She can still hear a predator at the entrance. Claws on bark, something large approaching. Any of these can spike her metabolism and pull her back to full consciousness in 30 to 60 seconds. The cost of that recovery equals an hour of normal reserves. So think about that the next time you step onto your back porch at 3 a.m. Not a predator, not the cold, you. While Cleo holds her twig and the chickadee slows her heart, something else is happening above your house. 800 feet up, moving. On a peak migration night, the number of birds passing over a single street between midnight and 4 a.m. can reach into the hundreds of thousands. Cornell Lab's Birdcast project tracks them on weather radar, streams of living creatures flowing south through the dark, invisible to everyone sleeping below. They fly between 500 and 3,000 feet. They are covering 200 to 400 miles before they land again at dawn. Wendell left at sunset. He is not stopping, he can't. This is the deep middle of the crossing. No departure point to return to, no destination yet within reach. He is fully committed to a journey measured not in steps but in hours of continuous darkness. And the only direction available to him is forward. Hold both images for a moment. Cleo on her twig, burning reserves by the minute, waiting for a dawn she cannot rush. Wendell, 800 feet above her, burning reserves by the mile, racing toward one. Same dark, same cold, same 2 hours, completely different fights. Here is what Wendell sees, not darkness. Not the scattered lights of the neighborhood below. Not the orange smear of the city on the horizon. What Wendell sees, overlaid across the night sky like a second world projected onto the first, is the Earth's magnetic field. A protein in his eyes called cryptochrome makes it visible to him, literally visible, as a grid of luminous orientation lines that shift and recalibrate as he moves. He cross-references it against the stars, using constellations as fixed anchors, adjusting his course as they rotate through the night. On cloudy nights, when the stars disappear, he leans harder into the magnetic signal, possibly supplemented by landmarks he perceives in infrared that we cannot detect at all. He is not navigating, not the way we mean the word. He is reading a map that was written into his biology before he hatched, in a language no human has ever spoken. 800 feet above your house, precise, calm, going exactly where he means to go. Now look up from this screen for a moment. That's sky dark to you. It always has. What else have you been missing? Ezra has not moved in 11 minutes. He is on the low branch at the driveway's edge, and if you walked past him in the dark, you would not see him. That is not an accident. The feathers along the leading edge of his wings are serrated at the microscopic level, engineered, over millions of years, to break up airflow and eliminate the sound of flight entirely. His eyes are fixed in their sockets and cannot move, but his neck rotates 270 degrees, so his stillness is not limitation. It is strategy. His hearing can locate a mouse moving beneath 3 inches of snow from 30 feet away. When he moves, it will be over in under 2 seconds. There will be no sound. The mouse will have no warning. That is not cruelty, it is precision. Ezra does not choose what he is, he simply is it completely. But here is what most people never consider. Every bird in this yard has been tracking Ezra for hours. Cleo knows which branch he is on, Red knows. The chickadee in the oak cavity knows, even through her slowed heart and borrowed consciousness. They are all adjusting, in real time, in the dark. While you sleep, the whole yard is awake and paying attention. At 2:31 a.m., Vera begins to sing, not a fragment, not a reflex chirp in the dark. Full territorial song. The rising, looping phrases that robins produce at dawn, to claim ground and announce themselves to the morning. Note by note, the same pattern she would sing at 5:47 a.m. when the sky actually lightens. Except the sky has not lightened. The streetlight 2 houses down has been on since dusk. To Vera's eyes, to the photoreceptors that feed her hormonal clock, it reads as dawn. Her biology does not know the difference. The cascade that should wait until first light. The hormones, the urgency, the song, has already been triggered. She thinks morning has come. It hasn't. It is 2:31 in the morning, and she is spending energy she cannot earn back for another 3 hours. Research bears this out without mercy. Robins in light-polluted urban areas carry measurably lower body weight, higher cortisol, shorter lives. If you have ever heard a robin singing at 2 in the morning and thought it was lovely, I want you to sit with that for a moment. That bird is not serenading the night. She is being lied to by a light we installed and never once reconsidered. None of what I'm about to tell you requires much. Switch the all-night floodlight on your garage to a motion sensor. It costs less than $20 and takes 11 minutes to install. Vera's hormonal clock stays intact. You lose nothing. You still get the light when you need it. Replace the bulb on your porch with a warm spectrum amber. Cool white light sits in the frequency range that penetrates bird biology the hardest. Amber doesn't. Same brightness to your eyes. Different world to theirs. Plant something dense along the fence line. A holly, a juniper, a brush pile you haven't gotten around to clearing. Cleo needs a windbreak more than she needs open sightlines. The shrub you've been meaning to trim is the reason she survived last January. Put in native plantings that fruit and seed before winter. The cardinal in your holly bush, Red, is not there by accident. He is there because someone at some point planted something worth eating. That is the whole list. You give up nothing. They get to survive the night. Cleo doesn't need a sanctuary. She just needs your yard to leave her alone between 2 and 4 a.m. It is 5:47 a.m. The first gray has arrived at the far edge of the sky. Not light yet, just the absence of full dark. And Cleo is still on her twig. She made it. In the holly bush, Red shifts his weight and ruffles his feathers once, shaking off the night the way you shake off a bad dream. The chickadee in the oak has begun the slow climb back, heart rate rising, body temperature returning degree by careful degree to something that resembles living. Ezra slipped back into his cavity in the elm an hour ago, silent as he arrived. Wendell landed before any of this. Somewhere south of here, in a tree he has never seen before, in a yard that belongs to someone who also doesn't know he's there. He is fine, only Vera is still singing. She will keep singing until the real light finally overwhelms the streetlight, and her biology accepts what her eyes have been lying to her about for hours. By then, she will have spent most of what she had. You have been living next to all of this for years, every night. While you slept, while you watched television, while you stepped outside for a moment and looked up and saw nothing but dark. Now you know. The question is what you do next.